What's up, black and white sports fans? John Matrix here, and I'm back with another video for you guys. All right, we already know what's going on with the NBA and China. This thing is getting worse every day, every single day. First, it was China suspended their basketball relationship with the Rockets. Now they're not going to broadcast any of the NBA China games in China. The relationship between China and the NBA is just completely falling apart. And now, President Trump, we knew it was only going to be a matter of time before he actually gave his input on it. And he is calling out Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr. Why? Because they have said nothing. Now, if you're into the political landscape or whatever, you know that Kerr and Coach Pop, they have been very, very critical of Donald Trump anytime something comes up. They're right up there also with LeBron to say something. But yet on this China situation, they have been very silent. Now, I called them out on another video. Also, the people on Fox Sports, they have been calling them out too. Clay Travis, Chris Broussard, Rob Parker. And that was the only time I've ever agreed with Rob Parker in my life. But he even called him out. So you know that something is run amok when they remain silent on this. But this is what Donald Trump had to say first about Steve Kerr. Because we know that Steve Kerr was asked about it on camera, and Steve Kerr looked very, very bad. He didn't have a comment. Wow. You mean to tell me Steve Kerr didn't have a comment on this? Why? Like I said before, it's all about the money. The NBA right now, since they're going to be basically losing China's audience, that's a lot of money they're losing. But anyway, this is what he said about Steve Kerr. He says he was like a little boy. He was so scared to be even answering the question. He couldn't answer the question. He was shaking. Oh, I don't know. He didn't even know how to answer the question, and yet he'll talk about the United States very badly. Now, he's responding to Steve Kerr and what Steve Kerr didn't say. Because if you actually do watch Steve Kerr, he is no short of words for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump retorts back to him and says that he has nothing to say about this situation with China, but every time something comes up with the Trump administration, Steve Kerr always has something to say. Now, also, Greg Popovich, he kind of danced around the question too, and Donald Trump said this. He said, I watched Popovich, sort of the same thing, but he didn't look quite as scared, actually. But they talk so badly about the United States, but when it comes to talks about China, they don't want to say anything bad. I thought it was pretty sad, actually. It'll be very interesting. Now, not just to call out Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich, but nobody in the NBA is really saying much of anything outside of Adam Silver. He's really the only one that's really said something. And he's really trying to repair the relationship with China and the NBA, but it's not looking good at all right now. This situation is probably going to get worse before it gets better. And we knew that Donald Trump was going to call them out because when Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich don't have something to say, you know this is all about money. It is. So the president called them out, and I think rightly so myself, because if they're going to say something about our own government, why won't they say something about the Chinese government? Why don't they say something in support of Daryl Morey? They just won't, because it's going to affect their bottom line. LeBron, he hasn't said anything either. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I highly doubt that he will. Because this situation, China, from what I understand so far, they were actually calling for the Rockets to fire Daryl Morey. And that's not going to happen. Tillman Fertitta has pretty much said that He supports Daryl Morey. He's not going to get rid of his GM. And if I'm Tim Fertitta, I'm not getting rid of Daryl Morey. No, Daryl Morey is an excellent GM. He voiced his opinion just like Popovich does, just like Steve Kerr does, just like LeBron does. Now, this is a little bit different because he was criticizing another country, even though he wasn't even criticizing China. His tweet was just fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. It was definitely pro Hong Kong, but it wasn't necessarily knocking down China. Now, like I said, I think this is going to get worse. There's going to be more news that's going to come out for this, but I'm actually glad that Donald Trump called out Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich. That Steve Kerr interview was pathetic. I saw it, and Steve Kerr was just bending his head down. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have nothing to say. Steve Kerr, any other time you're asked something about our government, you always have something to say. So he's acting like he doesn't know exactly what's going on. Steve Kerr knows exactly what's going on. He is just playing boo-boo the fool. Don't fall for it, guys. Just don't fall for it. But that's just my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Donald Trump calling out Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich. I think this was the right thing to do, but maybe you don't. So, guys, let us know what you think about this in the comments. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to Black and White Sports, and we'll catch you next time.